Hello, my name is Lakin and welcome to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be discussing my thoughts on the book Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. This is going to be a spoiler-free book review, so if you haven't read it, don't worry, you can still stick around and maybe pick the book up after we're done. So, if you're interested to hear my thoughts, stick around. So I just finished Sorcery of Thorns and I have some thoughts. I gave this book 5 stars. I loved this book. If that's all you want to know is did I love it, hate it, what rating I gave it? 5 stars. Yes. So before I get into discussing my thoughts, I figured I would read the Goodreads synopsis so that way you can understand the book without me accidentally giving a big spoiler, which is sometimes what I do when I try to explain books. Here's the synopsis. All sorcerers are evil. Elizabeth has known that as long as she has known anything. Raised as a foundling in one of Ostermere's great libraries, Elizabeth has grown up among the tools of sorcery, magical grimoires that whisper on shelves and rattle beneath iron chains. If provoked, they transform into grotesque monsters of ink and leather. She hopes to become a warden charged with protecting the kingdom from their power. Then an act of sabotage releases the library's most dangerous grimoire. Elizabeth's desperate intervention implicates her in the crime, and she is torn from her home to face justice in the capital. With no one to turn to but her sworn enemy, the sorcerer Nathaniel Thorn, and his mysterious demonic servant, she finds herself entangled in a centuries-old conspiracy. Not only could the great libraries go up in flames, but the world along with them. As her alliance with Nathaniel grows stronger, Elizabeth starts to question everything she has been taught about sorcerers, about the library she loves, about even herself. For Elizabeth has the power she has never guessed, and a future she could have never imagined. Before I started reading this, I didn't know any of that. I didn't read the synopsis, but reading that synopsis sounds pretty interesting, and it's pretty accurate to what happens. Sometimes synopsis is it's completely different than what the book is actually about, but that one's pretty accurate. So I picked this book up on Libby as an audiobook just on a whim. I was looking through, needing some more books to put on hold so that way I could have more books available. And so I just put it there. I was like, okay, has a cool cover. Sounds cool. Sorcery of Thorns. I was like, I think I've heard some people talk about this book. So we'll go for it. And I'm so glad I did. Because the magic in this world and the effects around the and how it's all centered around these libraries with these magical books. I loved that so much. Some of my favorite things were the grimoires. How they had personalities and how she would talk to them and how she was friends with them and how they could whisper to her. And you could tell that some of them were dangerous and actually wanted to hurt the people around them. But others just wanted to sing or just to have attention and stuff like that. And so I appreciate even though we don't get to even though there's no main character or side character that is one of the grimoire books, we still feel like all of them have different personalities, which I feel like was very well done because it just gives the world more depth instead of just one or two having personalities that we go fully in depth with. So I really enjoyed those. And I also enjoyed that they viewed the magic as evil. And because you have to get your magic from summoning a demon and being attached to a demon, which, yeah, demons are pretty evil. And so when we meet Nathaniel and his demonic servant, Silas, I appreciated that Silas stayed a demon, you know? And he wasn't like just this, oh, he's a demon, but he's one of the good demons, and he loves everyone and wants to protect people, and he's not like other demons. Like, no, at the end of the day, he was still a demon, and he was still like selfish and wanted things for himself and did things to gain power for himself. But yet, he was still good in a sense. Like, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I appreciate that it wasn't like, oh, he's a demon, but he's misunderstood, and he's always good, and he's always right. Like, it was more of like I feel like he would be like neutral evil. Like, he's not really, he will do good things if it benefits him, but he also is not the greatest of people. But he still like was entertaining and fun, and like even at time, and I appreciated the conversations that like she started to really like him and be like, oh, you're not so bad, and he'd be like, don't be fooled. Like, even like, because I started to get like really like attached to him and like, oh, Silas is a good guy, and then like as soon as you'd get to that point, he'd do something that'd be like, oh wait, yeah, he's a demon. Can't forget that. So I appreciated that balance to where it wasn't like he was, I don't know, it made him feel more human even though he was a demon. So I appreciated, I loved his character so much, and how he just was like this pompous butler, but he was a demonic butler. I also enjoyed Nathaniel's and Elizabeth's character, and especially their relationship, and how in the beginning she didn't trust him because he was evil, because he was a sorcerer and all this stuff. But then as she realizes and she like kind of explores the world that she's never explored because she's always stayed in the library, it evolves and she learns to trust him, and then they become great friends, and then it becomes a romance, which I ship. I ship them together. So yeah, I think the characters in this story are really well done and really fleshed out. I don't think any of them really fall flat. Even the like side characters that are only like in a few scenes, I feel like they all feel like real people, which is something that can be difficult to do in a book. One of the things I didn't love was basically how it ended. When we find out who the actual bad guy is in the book and who they have to defeat, when we find that out and when they start to actually confront them, and like in the end, whenever everything happens, it didn't seem very, it seemed very anticlimactic in a sense. It seemed very shortened and just tied together really easily, and I was never worried that it wasn't going to work out. Like, there weren't ever really any high stakes in my eyes with what was going on, if that makes sense. So, like, even though the story was very entertaining and I enjoyed every bit of it, I was never like, oh no, what's gonna happen? I guess I had this false security or accurate security for this book was gonna be perfectly okay. Also, the bad guy was very predictable in like who it was gonna be and just how they acted. I was like, okay, yeah, it wasn't a surprise or a twist or whatever. I don't know if it was supposed to be a twist, but it felt like it was kind of supposed to be one, but it wasn't one. I don't really have a lot of things that I dislike about this book. Obviously, I gave it 5 stars. I definitely want to have this as in my own library. And I'm really interested in reading more from her because the writing was very captivating and I was intrigued the whole time. I wanted to continue listening to it. It was just a fun read. Like, is this one of those like serious books that you're gonna remember everything and it's gonna stick with you till the very end of your life? No. I'm probably gonna forget a good chunk of it in a few years after I've read a whole bunch of stuff, but it's still like enjoyable. It's a fun time, and I definitely wouldn't hate rereading it, if that makes sense. Like, yeah, it was just fun. And I feel like a lot of times I feel the pressure that I have to justify my 5 stars because did it add into a conversation? Was it important? Was it an important book? Blah, blah, blah. No, it's not, but I enjoyed it, and I feel like a lot of other people will enjoy this book too, and not every book has to be super important and deep and all this stuff. Like, this book is perfect for getting away from the real world, escaping into this fantasy world that makes sense and is fun and interesting and inviting. And I would not mind going to one of those libraries and seeing books just flying from shelf to shelf. Like, can I go there? Please? But yeah, I feel like if I keep talking, I'm going to be talking in circles about and just gushing about how much I enjoyed it. So I'm going to end it here. So I'm not talking your ear off about this one book. But if you want to discuss more of it, we can definitely do so in the comments. I'll be happy to. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And I hope you have a great morning or evening whenever you're watching this. And I will see you in the next video. Bye! I'm going to be reading the Goodreads synopsis so that way I don't even know what I'm doing. Can I speak today? No, I can't.